One.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Scandinavian Days in Kaunas 2021. My name is Ainius Lašas, and I am the Dean of the Faculty of Social Sciences and Humanities at Kaunas University of Technology, and I will be your host for this online forum, Sustainable Cities, the Nordic Experience. 2 years ago, we hosted Scandinavian Days in this hall here, where I am now, and received over 100 participants. This year, we would have loved to invite you again to this big hall of Kaunas City Municipality. We actually even have flags over there all lined up, but the quarantine restrictions limit our opportunities to hold live physical events. Therefore, we symbolically broadcast the event from this hall, but our guests are joining us from various cities of Lithuania and Scandinavia. Today, we are especially pleased to welcome our Kaunas City partners from Scandinavia, and we are glad that they agreed to share their experiences on sustainable cities. The city of Växjö is one of the oldest partners of Kaunas. A twinning agreement between the two great cities was signed already in 1990. Växjö's mayor, Bo Frank, visited Kaunas probably more than 10 times, and thus he was able to see how Kaunas and the whole of Lithuania changed during these 3 decades of independence. Linköping is another city in Sweden with which Kaunas has been friends since 1992. It is the 5th largest Swedish city with an excellent university, which happens to belong to the European Consortium of Innovative Universities. Kaunas University of Technology is a part of that family as well. And so it is Tampere University, which, surprise, surprise, is based in the Finnish city of Tampere. The city of Kaunas has a cooperation agreement with Tampere since 1994. So we are pleased to welcome our longtime partners and friends to this online forum, and we are looking forward to your presentations. However, first things first. Now I am pleased to welcome the Mayor of Kaunas, Visvaldas Matijošaitis, who will give his openings remarks.
Augantis Kaunas turi vieną tikslą – tapti miestu, kuriame gera visiems. Neslėpsiu, kad dažnai norime lygiuotis į Skandinavijos šalių miestus. Šiuo metu Kaune įgyvendinami projektai orientuoti į ekologiją, tvarumą, socialinių ryšių kūrimą. Taip siekiame tapti inovacijas telkiančių miestų, kuriame patogu gyventi ir dirbti. Aleksote kuriamas inovacijų pramonės parkas skirtas pritraukti pažangiausias Lietuvos ir užsienio įmonės, steigti čia savo tyrimų centrus, kurti naujas gerai apmokamas darbo vietas kauniečiams. Kitąmet duris atvers mokslo muziejus, mokslo sala. Jis skatins mokslo pasiekimais ir darnių vystymusi domėtis net ir pačius jauniausius miesto gyventojus bei svečius. Kaunas yra kompaktiškas ir žalias miestas. Įgyvendindami darnaus judumo planą siekiame sukurti patogią infrastruktūrą judėti mieste be automobilių. Kuriame pėsčiųjų ir dviračių takus, tvarkome parkus ir žaliasias erdves, atnaujiname viešo transporto tinklą. Bus įdomu išgirsti apie Skandinavijos miestų vykdomus projektus bei naujas patirtis, įveikiant šiandieninius iššūkius. Sveikinu visus forumo dalyvius, linkiu įdomių pranešimų ir turiningų diskusijų. Visus svečius iš užsienio kviečiu kitąmet aplankyti Europos kultūros sostinę Kauną.
I know it's something.
Another distinguished guest, sorry for interruption. Another distinguished guest that I would like to welcome now is the director of the Nordic Council of Ministers Office in Lithuania, Helen Nilsson. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Do you hear me?
Yes, we do.
Good afternoon and warm welcome everybody to this forum on sustainable cities. Yes, I am Helene Nilsson and I am the director of the Nordic Council of Ministers Office in Lithuania since some years back. Nordic Council of Ministers is the official body for intergovernmental cooperation for Denmark, Finland, Iceland, Norway, Sweden, and Greenland, the Faroe Islands, and Åland Islands. Development and growth in the Baltic region accounts for a larger proportion of our international work. Cooperation with the Baltic countries focuses on issues such as sustainability, environmental and climate issues, strengthening welfare and democracy, as well as digitalization. Green economy, sustainability are the main directors for all the Nordic countries. Joint Nordic Vision 2030 says that the Nordic region will become the most sustainable and integrated region in the world by 2030. And this cannot be achieved without cities which are sustainable. As written in our ongoing Finnish Nordic Council of Ministers presidency program for 2021, the Nordic countries will only be successful in becoming a driving force for peace, sustainable development and welfare for all, leaving no one behind, if we do it together. Developing international cooperation in an even closer partnership with the Baltic countries. This conference is a concrete step in the right direction and totally in line with our vision and aims. For centuries, cities have been at the heart of art and culture, successful businesses, and innovative ideas. As we know, the number of people who live in cities now and who are expected to move into them in the coming years is startling. Around 2/3 of the world population is predicted to live in an urban area by 2050. The UN Agenda 2030 recognizes the crucial role of cities in driving sustainable development, as highlighted in Sustainable Development Goal number 11, on the importance of making cities inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable. And the good news is that while cities are particularly at risk from the climate crisis, they are also behind some of the most powerful solutions. From a global perspective, one of the biggest challenges is to create a sustainable and inclusive environment for the growing urban population. While cities are strong drivers of economic growth, they do experience several problems such as crime, housing shortage, youth unemployment and segregation, also having substantial climate and environmental impacts. From loneliness among the elderly to urban floods to air pollution, cities around the world face enormous challenges, but also similar. The Nordic region can offer high-quality urban solution based on Nordic strengths such as good governance, public-private partnerships, design traditions, environmental and social awareness, as well as robust technical solutions. A long-term view considering sustainability and future benefits for everyone is a unique feature in our region. On a global scale, the Nordic cities all fall within the city size class of less than 1 million inhabitants. As such, the Nordic cities demonstrate that being a smaller city is not a barrier to becoming positive actions for sustainability. If other cities of their size take action as well, a huge global shift towards sustainability can be achieved. Equally, these are actions that can be universal, shared between smaller and larger cities alike. Sharing knowledge, learning about each other's lessons and collaborate is a great benefit for everybody. We are more connected and integrated with our cities than ever before, sharing markets and resources across borders and continents in both real and virtual ways. Although every city is unique, we all face the same challenges of climate change and resource reduction. Many of the solutions to those problems are transferable. So we are very happy to cooperate with Kaunas City Municipality on the topic of sustainable cities for some time already. Last year, we bought the exhibition Nordic Sustainable Cities, which were open at your very nice renovated Nibes Square and exhibited at several locations in Kaunas. This year, we are coming back to this topic in the framework of Scandinavian Days. Several Nordic cities, as mentioned, Växjö, Linköping, Tampere, will share their experience, but also we will hear about such initiatives such as child-friendly cities and Her City. Hope that this forum inspire all of us to find innovative solutions and address the challenge of tomorrow. So thank you, Kaunas City Municipality, Kaunas Technical University, and the Nordic embassies in Lithuania for partnership in organizing this event. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Helen, for this macro perspective. And now we need to zoom in a little bit. And we are moving now to another speaker, and who is Bo Frank, the Lord Mayor of Växjö Municipality. And he will be talking about climate actions and Agenda 2030 in the greener city in Europe. Please, Bo, can you hear us okay?
Thank you so much, and thank you so much for having me. I love Kaunas. I love the friendship between Växjö and Kaunas, which have been existing for more than 30 years. As newly elected mayor in Växjö in 1991, I was happy to go to Kaunas, and I have attended many Scandinavian days in Kaunas. Always very good memories. Can I have slide 2, please? We started early with environmental issues. We have several lakes in the city center. All of them are now restored for fishing, swimming, recreation, and that is a unique process and an ongoing process. So clean lakes in the city, 7 clean lakes in the city, and in the municipality, we have more than 100 lakes. All of them are clean, good drinking quality of water. We started as one of the first cities in Sweden with bioenergy in the 1980. 1996, we took the first decision in the world at local level to be a fossil fuel-free city. And that decision was very unique at that time. And if we consider how long time it was, it is still very unique. We got appointments from United Nations 2002 of being the best city in the world for climate protection. And we were appointed by European media as being the greenest city 2007. And the European Union, European Commission gave us the European Green Leaf Award 2018. And 2019, we took a local agenda 2030, a local program for sustainability. So next slide, please. What is unique in Växjö? I will say once more, in the world. When I was elected mayor in Växjö 1991, I gathered all political parties to work to brainstorming. We took a boat trip from Copenhagen to Oslo, and we came up with some ideas. We wanted to be the greenest city in Sweden to start with. And since 1991, all political parties in our city council have been green parties. We have agreed on all issues concerning environment, transportation, energy, city planning, etc. And that's very unique. The key to this is socializing. You must meet after work, socialize, have a drink together, discuss without formal meetings. So the political climate is very, very good in our city. So 7 political parties share almost the same vision. We also have been in cooperation with the business sector, university, and citizens. Local NGOs are also very important. When we have a climate hour or we have a climate week, so we work with university and the business sector, and some of them business sector, some parts are very, very advanced. The local university is Linnaeus University, named after the famous botanist Carl von Linné, and he was almost as humble as I am. He once said that God created the world and I organized it. So next slide, please. We use 100% renewable energy for production. It's waste from forestry. It's local waste, 100 kilometers from Växjö. It's the longest distance. Waste from forestry. And we have never have so much forest as we have today. We are working towards a bioenergy society where forest is very important for production of clothes, for paper bags, for furniture, almost everything. In Sweden, we only cut 80% of the annual growth. So it means that we have never have so much forest as we have today. So the forest will also be very important for alternative biofuels. We have a wooden building energy strategy. Almost all buildings built in Växjö are wooden constructions. That is a political decision since almost 10 years back. Wood is the only renewable building material. Concrete, for example, emits 3 times as much pollution as from aviation. So we use wooden buildings, and we also build tall buildings with wooden constructions. We started also very early with recycling. All organic waste is collected from household, and we have a local production of biogas to public transport and to private persons. Another very important issue also is that building a density. We work very hard with high-speed cycle lanes and streets for pedestrians and for walking. And it's not very easy to drive a car in the city center of Växjö, not only because it's very small. We want people to walk, to take bicycles, and also use private bicycles. What we also do is that we encourage people to buy environmental cars. And almost, I think it's 40% of all new sold cars in Sweden today are electrical cars or hybrid cars. Next slide, please. What have we achieved? We have reduced our emissions per capita since 1993 with 60% from a low level to start with. That's also very unique. I haven't seen really the slides we're going to see here, but today about our energy consumption, about 65% of all consumed energy is from renewable energy in the entire municipality. I think the average emission per capita in our city today is about 1.5 ton carbon dioxide per capita. So we have achieved a lot. The entire city is connected to our own energy production in the same grid. One grid for coaling, one grid for heating, one grid for electricity, and one grid for broadband. So I should say that 100% of the citizens are also connected to broadband. What is unique in Sweden is that we might be the most decentralized country in the world. There's so much power at the local level. We have all the toolbox, we have all the money, we have used European funds. So local governance is extremely strong in Sweden and is in our constitution for more than 150 years. Local governance is extremely important. So we have the toolbox, we have all possibilities to make a change. Next slide, please. Sustainability program. We started 5 years ago to work with a sustainability program based on Agenda 2030. We have also been in discussions with stakeholders, NGOs, business life, and we have found at least 9 challenges that must be solved. So next slide, please. Goals for 2030. The only problem I see with our Agenda 2030 program is that climate protection might be not so important as it was before. But I should also say that since I was elected mayor in 1991, all issues concerning environment and climate protection has been on the mayor's office. The mayors must have passion, take a lead. If the mayor works with an issue, then you also give a signal that the issue is very important. Not so important issues can other politicians deal with. The mayor must take the lead from the very beginning. Do I have one more slide? So, sustainability, the program is for everyone, not only for the municipality. So we have always discussions with our stakeholders. Our city council meetings are open to the public. We have often questions from citizens, what we are doing and what we achieve. So the sustainability issues are very important for our city. We also like to cooperate on the international arena. I have the honor to be vice president of Energy Cities. We have also a member of the board of ICLEI organization, and we are one of 35 cities in Sweden in a local network in Sweden for climate protection. And we have been taking a lead part since this organization started. So to work international is very important. And we work with environmental projects together with some countries in Europe and also in South Africa and Duluth in Minnesota. So, do I have one more slide? If not, thank you so much for your attention. I've been very pleased to be with you today, and I look forward to the forthcoming presentations. Thank you.
Thank you, Bo, very much for your passionate presentation. And we feel the passion in your voice, in your veins, for an ambition to be the greenest city in Sweden. But I guess you probably have some competition for the greenest city title, and I'm not sure whether Linköping is as close to this goal to beating you at this title, but we will hear more about what Linköping does. And I would like to welcome Lars Vikinge, who is the mayor of Linköping, and Niklas also, senior environmental officer, and they will be talking about public involvement in the processes in a transition to a sustainable society. Please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. Well, first of all, to just make a comment on that, I really admire the work of Växjö with wood production in house building, using wood in housing. That's fantastic, and it's really a green city. I love Växjö, so that's said from the very beginning. It's an honor to be with you today, and the bonds between Kaunas and Linköping are strong. And I'm very happy about that. It's an important relation to me personally and also to my city. And I'm also happy for this network that we have the privilege to be a part of. 2 years ago, I had the privilege also to visit your beautiful city in Kaunas. In particular, I remember how the old houses in your city were preserved and restored with commitment to create a green and warm and friendly environment. And that is said, even though we were there in the end of February. It was raining and 2 degrees plus. So, but even then it was so, and I can imagine how lovely it must be in the summer. I also remember the city center avenue that was under construction, reconstruction, and reparation then. And all the trees there and the green atmosphere of that place. So it will really be lovely to come back in summertime sometime with my wife, perhaps in private. In Linköping, we have the goal and strategy to be carbon dioxide neutral already in 2025. The goal was set by the City's Council already in 2011. It was a bold decision, and some have criticized this for being too radical. Others have criticized that we as political representatives have not fully understood what it takes to reach such a goal and in due time. Nevertheless, the whole municipality of Linköping is now involved in this work. Not the least, of course, our company Tekniska Verken, who is owned by the municipality and then also by the inhabitants, that takes care of our garbage. They produce heat, they produce electricity, they have water production, water and electricity units. They also build wind turbines and solar cell electricity production units. And next week, actually, there will be a big inauguration of the last plant or last place where they have built, I think, 10 turbines. And I think also that Växjö has come into this. They have bought one of the turbines, I think. I'm not quite sure, but I think it's like that. In such case, it's very fun, very nice. But very much more is, of course, done also to make the city of Linköping sustainable and in all respects of the word. Our senior environmental officer, Niklas, also will now present, or in a minute, present some of our work with sustainable development in Linköping and how our inhabitants are involved in this work. Again, thank you so much for arranging this conference. I will now listen to the presentations with great interest. Thank you so much.
Hello, everyone. Now I should share my screen and could you see my screen, everyone?
Yes, we do.
And not the notes, or? Good. I'm going to talk about public involvement. As Lars has said, I grew up in Linköping, and I left for military service and studies, and then I came back for work and to build my life here in Linköping. And why did I come back? One reason is that I have my family here, of course, and I love to bike. And Linköping is a flat and a medium-sized city, so you could cycle wherever you want. In 10 to 30 minutes, you get almost everywhere. There is a nice inner city, and the landscape around is very close, and it's a lot of lakes and an old pasture landscape with big oaks. And it's easy to get into the city, and it's also easy to get out from the city with bike and buses. And there's an expression in the city that describe as where ideas come to life, and I think it does. And I will show you some example of that I will tell you about. As Lars said before, the city of Linköping is Sweden's 5th largest city. We have a big university with 30,000 students. The university offers innovative education and boundary crossing research. And Linköping also has a university hospital. One of the biggest employees in Linköping is Saab. So many companies in the city originate from the technical development. There is also a lot of agriculture and green innovation in the city. Due to a lot of activities in the city and in the region, Linköping is a regional hub for commuters for jobs and studies. And approximately 20,000 commute every day to the city. Think globally and act locally. Linköping has an ambitious policy for sustainability based on Agenda 2030 and the Sustainable Development Goals. And as Lars said before, we have a bold goal to become a carbon neutral city by 2025. Of course, a very tough and bold, but very important. And that's to achieve Sweden's climate goals and fulfill the Paris Agreement. And we need to do as much as we can to achieve the Linköping's own goal. And what do I going to tell you about? How do we involve our residents in acting sustainable in the long term? We work to offer opportunities in energy consulting, create good conditions for cycling, walking, and public transport, inform and tell through social media campaigns, lectures and workshops on current issues in sustainability, such as sustainable fashion, food, travel, and all the issues that can be linked to the interdisciplinary approach to the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. And we hope that by creating the right conditions in the physical infrastructure that we could act more sustainable together. And we need a conversation with the residents so we could hear how they look at the future and try to nudge and push the residents to a sustainable city together. And Linköping has an ambitious plan for how we work with these issues, which makes it fun for me as an employee to tell you about what we do here in Linköping. And here you can see a picture from an idea that first was a project and now will be done for the 3rd year this summer. Summer pedestrian street, we call it, where the main street in the inner city is closed for buses and cars, and the city opens up for those who walk and cycle. And Linköping is growing, and our way of traveling needs to be developed. One of these challenges is how we will travel in the future. Today's traffic system in Linköping is simply not adapted for the increase of number of inhabitants. So if we were to continue to grow and still have the same number of cars per household, it would require a substantial change of infrastructure. So in addition, traffic is the largest source of air pollution and particles in the city. It leads to increased mortality in cardiovascular and lung diseases. And physical inactivity is very important as well. It leads to health problems. In order to be able to develop a sustainable and equal city, we simply need to plan to create better conditions for residents to walk, cycle, and travel by public transport and shared mobility services. So how could we do that? Here you could see an example from sustainable urban planning by the building of a new district in Linköping. It's called Vallastaden, which also was a residential community building expo at 2017. The previous urban planning, when you look at the right picture, it shows how the city has spread over large areas from the small town during the 18th centuries to rapid growth after 1950s, like many cities have been done, of course. Today, 2021, we want to build the city inwards instead. As you can see on the right picture, a rounder, denser and more cohesive city. Get more people not to take the car, and traffic changes with a focus on walking, cycling and public transport. Lessons from this project are now included in the planning of new districts. And one example is distance to bus and bike should be shorter than to the car. Low energy consumption plus energy houses, their own solar production are encouraged. Ecosystem services such as stormwater management with multifunctional surfaces are incorporated in the planning. And for the social sustainability, common areas where you can share and socialize. And as you can see on the picture on the left, it should be a mix between ownership and rental properties, small houses and houses for a lot of people. Here you have green travel plans that we have been working a lot with in Linköping, a strategy for more sustainable commuting in the city. We are working to expand the actual infrastructure for bicycle and walking, and we are also working to a changed approach. We want to nudge our municipal residents to actually see how good opportunities there are for cycling, walking, and public transport. So a green travel plan, that is an action plan to increase the proportion of sustainable and efficient commuting to workplaces with the aim of reducing carbon dioxide emissions. And the green travel plan, it consists of a couple of things. That is a survey of travel habits, analysis, and an action plan, what to do. It's measures aimed at achieving more sustainable and efficient business and commuting trips within the company, organization, or an entire workplace area. So here you can see some travel plans from our university and from Saab and from the city of Linköping. And we have a couple of projects that we try to inspire and challenge our people that lives in Linköping. We appoint a bicycle-friendly workplace award, and it's intended to draw attention to workplaces that make it easier for the employees to cycle to work. And we have, sorry, it's Swedish here in the picture, but I try to explain. Winter cyclists, and there we challenge our residents to cycle to work through the winter. In return, you get the winter equipment for your bike in the form of studded tires, lights and reflectors. And this year, the Linköping municipality selected 60 work commuters who wants to become winter cyclists. And then we have the challenge, let the car stand for 90 days. And under the project time, they let the car stand and try the electric bike and box bike for 19 days. A family and persons signed up so they not will use the car. And we borrowed bikes and box bikes during that time. And here you can see the traffic strategy for Linköping City. Goals in the urban development plan from 2008 until 2030. The amount that travel with bicycle increase, as you can see, and the public transport and car decrease. The goal is that the percentage using bus and bicycle should increase together. In the figure, the percentage using car has decreased since 2008, but we still have a lot to do to reach the goals. And to the right, you can see some of the different initiatives that could lead to this, that we will succeed with this strategy. We have a city-wide e-bike pool. We have public transport. Autonomous buses has just started up in Linköping. It goes up at the university and Vallastaden I talked about. Rural public transport, car sharing has started up, some companies, taxi, electric scooters, intercity train. Supercycle highways was introduced to Linköping in 2017, and they are characterized by extra wide double lane cycle path, clearer signs, light installations. And bicycle link has been built to be as smooth and appealing to cyclists as possible. Also, it should be possible for bicycling all year around. Then we have what we call sweep salting the cycle path, so the paths will be clean from snow and ice during the winter. At all intersections, you have, as a cyclist, have priority before the car. And in addition, we have tried to minimize the stops along the bike paths and thus enable competition with car transport. It should be a good alternative. And before building this super cycle highways, the planning process before was characterized by co-design and workshops and dialogue. And questions beside the paths design is as well better bicycle parking. It's a very important thing that you should take your bike to the city so it not will be stolen. Bike services, and we have a lot of new Swedes that need some courses in bicycling and excursions and get to know the city. And here you see some of my colleagues, Linnea and Robert. They are energy and climate advisors, and they give impartial and free advice in energy and climate, independent from suppliers and technical solutions. So they help all private individuals in Linköping and companies, associations, and they do it with the telephone, with email, site visits, and make various knowledge-raising activities, seminars and webinars. It's very popular, actually. And a very common question is about solar energy, heating system, charging of vehicles coming up as well. And this is something almost all Swedish municipalities have energy and climate advisors. And to the right, you can see a picture of our solar map that we have on Linköping.se. Because the municipality wants to make it easier for people to install solar cells, you can see how much energy your roof will produce. So you can have your address and get in and see how much your roof will produce. And then they take contact with our climate and energy advisors. Here you can see something we call Global Linköping. It's a lecture program that we do in November. Every year, it's for 10 years now, I think. The event is building on collaboration between departments in the municipality with schools, associations, university, and business. And during 2020, the theme was health and climate. And this year it will be democracy. We're celebrating democracy 100 year in Sweden. The Global Linköping program is usually choose a theme within the framework for the Global Development Goals and Agenda 2030. And the base of Global Linköping is inviting on a broad front to cooperation. Under the normal circumstances, we usually have physical meetings, but during 2020, all lecture went digital. And it worked very well, actually. So as we can see here today, and we would want to make that this year as well, but more like for a hybrid meeting we hope for during this fall. So we could meet people as well. And for the last page, I have a product called Fact Movement. Fashion should be sustainable. It's a fact. Fashion industry is one of the most polluting industries and have a big impact on the climate. The consumption of garments and textile has increased a lot over the last decades, which today make the textile industry may account for up to 10% global greenhouse pollution. So we have a number of factories, as we call them, has been appointed like influencers. And they have different challenges per month to keep them encouraged and motivated. As an example, they try to match one garment into a different outfit every day for a week. One garment, 7 days challenge, they call it. Or to share accessoire with another person and then match it with their own style. So once a month, they had a meeting with their factorist, and we had a guest such a stylist who helped them to put together new outfits and get them tips on how to find and navigate in the secondhand shop. Another time they learned how to repair and fix easy sewing, or how to take away stains in a more environmental friendly way. And to end with, I would like to say, create good conditions for acting sustainable. It should be easy to do the right thing. For example, to build new neighborhoods where cycling, walking, public transport are in the center, fewer car parks and parker in the outer areas, like they talk about in Växjö. Find out how people want us to build a city. Most of the people actually want to act sustainable. And my hope is that everyone would like to learn more about Agenda 2030 and see the possibilities, regardless of whether they work at school, elderly care, or urban planning or business. Yeah, that was all for me. So thank you for having me, and thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, both to Niklas and Lars, for their presentations. There are a lot of interesting ideas here to pick up and run with. So thank you for that. And also, Lars, I have to tell you that today it's 20 plus in Kaunas. It's absolutely lovely, unlike, you remember -2. So you're more than welcome to come at some point in summer. Now, we are moving to Tampere, and the next presenter is Henri Vaninen, who is Project Development Manager in 5-Star City Center, City of Tampere. And he will be talking about Tampere Deck District, a unique large-scale project in the center of Tampere. Please.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me and can you see me?
Yes, both yeses.
That's really great. So it's really nice to be here with you today. It's also a beautiful day here in Finland, so it's really nice to be part of this Scandinavian days. My name is Henri Vaninen, and like you said, I'm a project development manager. My employer is the city of Tampere, and I work here in our 5-Star City Center project, which is a project that we try to develop our city center for the people and life, so they can live here, better life, and so they can work here and use bicycles and public transportation and stuff like that. So welcome. I will tell you something about, I will tell you and show you a presentation about our one of our biggest urban development project, which is ongoing at the moment here in Tampere. So I will show you a little bit that. Here you can see our beautiful city. You can see our beautiful lakes around the city. This is really a nice place to live, and I'm really proud that I can work here too. I will tell you something about this area here, which is kind of heart of the city. It's at the moment it's mostly like a empty rail yard, and we try, and our vision is to develop that area for the people and life. But before we go forward, I would like to show one video. So I try to show it to you next. So let's see if I can make it happen. Little moment. And I will try to share this video. I hope you can see it.
Yes, we can.
So that was really fascinating video. But what do you think? I will try to share my slides now. Again. Okay, so yeah, so Tampere city center is being reformed in many ways, and we think that the DEC district is one of the most significant projects, and it's a good example of the city's bright future. We try to make the urban structure more density, and we think it's really important in many ways. Of course, we need to make our development that it makes great response to our city strategy too. Our goal is to be the most appealing operating environment for businesses, which is really important, the most attractive experience city in the Nordic region, a comfortable and lively and sustainable city of 300,000 people, and of course a pioneer in a smart and sustainable transport and urban development. And we think that when we develop our city center, we support all these targets. Here you can see our vision, or one of our visions about the DEC district. We think that the area might look like this in the future, maybe to 2035, 2040 around. And at the moment, the area ruled by main railroad, it's quite a rough area at the moment. There's lots of parking places. We want to develop the area more greenery and more for the people, more for the pedestrians, more for the cyclists and stuff like that. So the change is quite huge if you think about this vision, because at the moment we have just empty rail yard, railway station, and some old city blocks and cars and stuff like that. But this is quite bold, of course, reform and good example of how we could use our quite challenging land areas for different purpose. So it's quite nice. At the moment, we work to utilize the space in here in the middle, and at the moment the rail yard is dividing our city center to east side and west side, and with this project we try to unite these parts together and create some new urban spaces here in the middle of the center. The location for this area is really significant. It's significant for people who arrive in Tampere, regardless of the mode of transport. In coming years, more and more people will travel through this area. Our city's population increase quite record speed at the moment. Every year, nearly 3,000 people want to move here and live here and do their works here, and we need to develop this city for them also. So it's really good to try to make this city for everyone. And this area will be accessible with almost any mode of transport in the future. This year, new railway is complete, and the tram begins to operate through this area, which is really important thing. The whole city, great public transport is for everyone. And of course, we want to serve everyone, whether they are living in or moving to or just visiting Tampere. And the city must be made easily accessible, of course, and of course Tampere also offers many other sites and attractions, but we think this is the first impression of Tampere when people travel with train. In short, here are some concrete positive effects developing this area. The one and big thing is the new green and attractive city space, smooth traffic connections with all outdoor transport, new business opportunities around increasing customer flow, which is really important, of course, new apartments for 4,000 or 6,000 residents here in the middle of the everything, and 10,000 new jobs in the middle of the center. So you can travel in your job, for example, public transportation or bicycle or just by walking. So it's really good. Transforming areas around railway station into diverse areas that are integral parts of cities is an international trend, of course. Here in Tampere, we will build 2 new decks on top of the railway, which will open new operating environments directly above it. So it's also kind of smart platform building a city. And of course, it creates new possibilities. It's kind of hybrid zone that collects different kind of businesses together, and it's flexible, creative, and smart platform where you can work and find new partners also. And you don't need, for example, your car for that, and so on. Our goal is to make the Deck District a new area for people and living, and of course, because our population increased quite record speed, it's important that we use this our center for the people who want to live here and who wants to work here, and so on. So it's really good way to develop this area. Here you can see the investments in the district. Approximately about 2 billion euros. For building stock, there will be over 300,000 square meters of new floor area, which we of course we need to make it so sustainable that we can. But you can see the whole area here, and you can see the railway here. It goes through the area, and we develop these areas as a deck district. And as you can see, we have defined the high-rise building zone here in the center. So it's really important that we can use this area for high-rise buildings, and other areas are for the smaller buildings here. Yeah, so the high-rise building zone and its dramatic change, of course, to the city's silhouette, because high-rise construction is still rather new in Tampere. But to grow, we must reach new heights, we think. So it's important combination because the city grows each year, and new space in the city center is limited here. We are surrounded by lakes, so it's clever to use the space what we have here in the center and go up. And so we can dense the structure and make use of the entire compact area. And as I already mentioned, we have made a lot of progress here on the first part of the new Deck District. Our new downtown arena will be complete this year. And of course, it's quite a hot spot here, and the most important landmark, Daniel Liebeskind has designed it, and the arena has been built directly above the main railway line, which is really challenging, and of course, but it's really good place for this kind of building also. The main railway line it's above and trains go under it, so it's quite interesting place. The arena can hold 15,000 people, and it's really nice that we can host the Ice Hockey World Championship in next year. The arena will also host many other sports, of course, and entertainment events and world-class concerts. Of course, there's restaurants and sauna world and stuff like that, but it's quite a pioneer of digitalization in event business also, and it's quite interesting place, and it's in the Europe. It's like an international unique as well, we think. The VEC district will make Tampere city center more cohesive and compact, and the architecturally interesting district will create green city space for communities and lots of activities and experience that are easily accessible with walking, with pedestrian and cyclists and stuff like that. So it's really nice place for live and work with. All this is in line with the city strategy and requirements, of course. People can easily travel in the district because they can reach it using any mode of transport they want. Of course, tram is really important. And as I mentioned, cyclist and pedestrian also. And it will also be easily accessible with our main railroad, which is really important. Of course, you can travel through the Finland and live here in Tampere and use here you can use tram, and it's of course ecological and sustainable way to move here. And of course, this new area will play an important role in moving towards a carbon neutral city center here in Tampere. We need to find ways how we can develop our city more sustainable, and how we can make places, people who want to live here, because our city is growing, so that kind of issues we need to solve here. Transforming old rail yard completely into a new neighborhood is, of course, quite a challenging move, but we think that we are in the right track at the moment. We are creating interesting space full of life and making our city center solid. And I'm confident that in the future, our modern lakeside city offers you an experience that it's quite hard to beat. So it takes time, of course, to get these plans done, but we are heading bravely towards the future. And thank you for listening to me, and of course, welcome to Tampere.
Thank you, Henry, very much. It looks like it's a big and exciting project that you will be able to talk about, not just this year, but there will be, opportunities to talk about this ongoing development maybe next year or in 2 years as well. And it would be fun to see where all of this going and the challenges that you are facing. So far, we talked quite a lot about cities through the sort of adult perspective. Now we are switching gears a little bit, and we have another speaker, Anne Luiro, Senior Advisor, Culture and Recreational Services for the city of Rovaniemi in Finland, and she will be talking about child-friendly city initiative towards child-friendly city in the case of Rovaniemi. Welcome, Anne, and the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. It has been very interesting to listen all the other presentations. But now, greetings for you from Rovaniemi, from the home of Northern Magic. I am talking about the Child-Friendly City Initiative, which is led by UNICEF. So how we are going towards the child-friendly city here in Rovaniemi. What is a child-friendly city in a nutshell? A child-friendly city is a city, town, community, or any system of local governance committed to fulfilling child rights as articulated in the Convention on the Rights of the Child. It is a city or community where the voices, needs, and priorities of children are an integral part of public policies, programs, and decisions influencing their lives and future. It is a global movement, a program that strengthens social inclusion, a promoter of child and youth participation, a change of priorities in all local decision-making, a practical tool, and a holistic approach. So where we started in Rovaniemi, we applied to the CFCI in 2012 and made the decision to join in 2013. We made some start survey pretty quickly at the first and decided the themes we are going to develop here. So the themes, what we picked up were the child and youth participation in every level in our community and the city, and children's rights, educational access to the workers and politicians, because this is the decision that the politicians also have to take. So what we have done, some concrete things, and of course we have done a lot of more, but these are the main things that we started with. So we started some pilot work in our daycare section. We decided to get children more involved in their own matters in daycare during the days. So they decided what they want to play during the days. They had some votes and different kind of meetings during the normal daycare day. Also, some daycare units had the day that everything was different. So the children were doing adult matters and vice versa. We have developed in the model youth council activities with the youngsters who are involved in the process. For example, our youth council has representatives in every board and sections together with the politicians. This is how youngsters' voice is heard through the whole decision-making process. Last, our developing matter is that we got our structures to match the future needs. We got a new section in the decision-making structure that handles children, families, and youth matters. And when we are going towards the child-friendly city, we are doing all the developing matters by comparing our own activities. We are not comparing our city with the others who are involved in the model, so we can take it slowly and with so little steps that is insisted. So this work is just for us, and UNICEF Finland encourages us to do our best and develop our actions in the best way, so it leads us to the good results. In Finland, we have 44 municipalities already in this model. So we have a lot of support from the other cities and municipalities. So what we have achieved, our decision makers think about all the residents in the process more than before. All our sections are making little steps in their own way to become more child-friendly city, and the good work that is done in every section is now more visible than before. And we have had already 2 recognitions from UNICEF Finland, and they were giving in 2015 and 2017. And this year we are expecting to get the 3rd recognition, but UNICEF will decide if we are going to get it or not. So what are our goals in the model for the future? Basically to make Rovaniemi more child-friendly city and make sure that all the actions are thought about also via the children's point of view. But this work will be more easier now when we have the electronic tool in Finland for making the model in our cities. And Finland UNICEF has made that electronic tool, and you can ask that more from the UNICEF Finland, from Johanna Laaja or Sanna Koskinen. And also I can give you the web page for that, but it's only in Finnish at the moment, so maybe it won't be so much used for the other countries. But in Rovaniemi, what are our next steps? We want this work to be shown in our city strategy more than it shows right now, and also strengthen the participation of our citizens. We will strengthen our child effect evaluation so that it will be done in every decision-making process. Are they small or big, or in every section in our municipality? We will renew our START survey and will be more thorough with the new model. So because we had made the START survey 2012, and now it is 2021. So everything has moved to the other side, or to the better way. Now we have to make that again and see where are our goals for the future with the model. But we will continue with the framework of the children budgeting and trying to get it as a normal function in our city. So we will know how much money we are going to use in our children and youngsters in Rovaniemi. And what makes so special about our model is because we are the city of Santa Claus, and we are doing closely cooperation with him. So we are really child-friendly city, but we have to make more and more all the time that our youngsters and children get more good in our city. If you want to ask some further information, you can get my info here. So thank you. This was short.
Thank you very much. It sounds like you have some big helpers in addition to, to the city staff, and children and the community. I mean, you have Santa on your side. That's big,
Yes.
Now we are moving back to Finland. I'm sorry, we are moving back to Sweden, from Finland to Sweden. And I would like to invite our speaker, Tove Julin, project manager, and she will be talking about global challenge, and her title of the presentation is Her City Toolbox. Tove, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. I can see if I can share my presentation here. I'm here to talk about the Her City Toolbox. It was very inspiring to hear about all the city projects and also the child-friendly Rovaniemi. I think that we have similar things in our presentations. Yeah, okay, so I'll start with myself. I'm Tove Julin, and I'm, as Anna said, project manager at the independent think tank Global Utmaning. It's a global challenge in English. And I work with our Sustainable Cities program, and one of our projects within that program is the Her City Toolbox, and it is a joint initiative between Global Utmaning on one hand and Unihabitat on the other. And Her City is a digital toolbox for facilitating and setting up and running more participatory and inclusive planning and design processes. And the target group for Her City is we primarily focus on women, youth, and people living in vulnerable areas and informal settlements. So it's not only a Swedish project, but we are incorporating this globally. Let's see if I can change. There we go. So just to make a long story short and put this a bit into context, as you all know already, 70% of the world's population will live in cities by 2015, and this brings about enormous challenges, not at least in terms of inequality. And among the most vulnerable for these inequalities are young women in socioeconomic vulnerable areas. And research has shown that participation creates opportunity for more inclusive, equal, and urban development, sustainable urban development. But we have also seen that there is a lack of knowledge of how to incorporate and involve vulnerable groups in the urban development process. I can also see here the gender gap reflected in some statistics. 60% of women feel unsafe in public spaces worldwide. The gender gap is also reflected in the digital divide. So it comes across as access to internet and also who owns a cell phone. 23% of women cover governmental positions worldwide. That is less than the percentage of women that experience domestic violence at least once. So this is what a city typically looks like in an illustration. It's unsafe. It's not built for girls or women. It can be perceived as unsafe, inaccessible, dirty, and not an ideal place. So that is why we initiated the Her City Toolbox. So our vision and our thesis that we tested in a pilot project in Botkyrka, Sweden, is if you involve girls in urban development, the city will become better for everyone. We see, and that's also reflected in research, that girls plan and design with diversity and different needs in mind. And that is why they are so valuable to have part of the urban development process. So we see that participatory processes are key for planning cities that work for everyone. And if we let citizens that are rarely heard be the expert, our cities and communities will become more inclusive, equal, and sustainable. So our ambition is to contribute to a number of SDGs, number 3, 5, 10, 11, 16, and 17. But we have also seen that when you use the Her City Toolbox, you work with all the SDGs in different ways on a local level. So our mission is to promote girls and young women's participation in urban planning and design processes. And this is to create sustainable and inclusive cities. And as I said, the target group for Her City is primarily girls and young women, but we stand on an intersectional base. So the toolbox also considered the needs of a number of groups, such as refugees and minorities, small children and youth, people with disabilities, and the LGBTQI+ community. The toolbox, as mentioned, is a joint initiative between Global Utmaning and Unihabitat. It is financed by Vinnova, the Swedish innovation agency, with the contributions from White Architects, Method Kit, Hyresgästföreningen, Block by Block Foundation. Hyresgästföreningen, that's Swedish, the Swedish Union of Tenants. It is actually a result of the Urban Girls movement that we initiated in 2017, where we did a global mapping of participatory processes to increase equality and inclusion in urban development. And our ambition then was to highlight the values of increasingly involving women and girls in planning and design processes. And then we tested the best tools from that mapping in the Botkyrka pilot. And this year, on International Women's Day, we launched the digital Her City Toolbox. And the aim is to support urban development from a girl's perspective, as I said. And it is a step-by-step toolbox and guide for urban actors to implement such an inclusive methodology in their work. And it is open source and open code, so it's open for everyone, and it's free. And it is supposed to facilitate an ongoing dialogue between professionals and citizens. So the process itself contains 9 blocks that are pretty flexible, but they represent the 3 phases of urban development. So you have the assessment phase and the design phase and the implementation phase. And each block also has a number of activities and steps. So it's quite a comprehensive toolbox, and we try to think of everything. And that's why you could pick and choose a bit. And it's a very cost-efficient way to do urban development, because you get to involve very many stakeholders and perspectives from the get-go, and then you don't have to redo anything. That's the idea. And here you can see some pictures from the Botkyrka example. And let's see, from in the up left-hand corner, you can see a group of engaged girls in the assessment phase here. And it's very valuable when the girls are working together with stakeholders throughout the entire process. And during the assessment phase, they get to identify and formulate the challenges that the public space is facing. And then you have the design phase, where we look at solutions and look at design. And we also use Minecraft there as a visualization tool. And then here we have a picture from one of the later workshops where the girls together with architects looked at materials on what kind of materials would be useful to implement their designs. And here you have the before and after picture. On the right hand side you have the Google Maps picture of what Fittja looks like today. It's quite gray. And on the left hand side you can see the redesigned Fittja. And yeah, just to summarize, it's a more vibrant space and it focuses more on ecosystem services and also on finding places and spaces for the entire community. So there's a lot of cafes, benches, and stuff like that, playgrounds. And you also have more focus on public transport solutions. So not only car, they took away the parking lot, for instance, and focused on bus access. Yeah, and since the launch on International Women's Day, we have had a number of projects registered. 60 is not the correct number. I did this PowerPoint before I checked the latest number. I think we're up in 70 now. And also a number of individual users that registered. And we are currently having 10 ongoing partnerships around the world. We're starting in Flemingsberg, in another suburb in Stockholm, and also in Denmark this autumn, hopefully, and also the West Bank, Cairo, and Beirut, and other places. So you can find the platform, the open source free platform on hercity.unhabitat.org. And you can also follow us on social media. So HerCity Toolbox or #HerCity. And this is just a little reminder of what we would like the HerCities to look like, a place for everyone. I'll stop there. Thank you.
I think we are back now. Tove, have you finished your presentation?
Yeah, I finished.
Okay.
I don't know when I lost you.
Oh, you lost me like 2 minutes ago, so it's okay. Thank you very much. I think I got most of it, like 99% of the presentation, and it sounds like a lot of our participants can benefit from what you are doing in terms of ideas and practices. So it sounds very interesting. This is for me also a first to really sort of think more clearly about women's involvement in planning processes. So thank you for that. Last now, but not least, we have a presentation from Aiste Lukashevičiūtė, the head of project and investment division at Kaunas City Municipality. And she will be talking about developing Kaunas projects that change the city. Aiste, please join in. And we have about 15 maximum minutes for you.
Yes, just 1 second. I share my screen with the presentation to start. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, thank you. So shortly, I will tell about the projects that we are implementing and the projects that are now changing the face of Kaunas City. So when we present Kaunas City, we tell a story of how the city started to develop in the a very small area in the confluence of two rivers. Then in 20th century, the city center expanded to our main pedestrian area now. And in 21st century, the city is expanding even more to Aleksotas, Žaliakalnis, and other areas outside what was used to be a city center back then. So when we talk about the biggest projects in Kaunas city, we can name like 3 groups of projects that are being developed. So one very big and very important group of projects that are developed is the Darius and Girėnas Stadium and its surroundings. So this group of projects is consisted of the stadium, which will be finished by mid-2022. This stadium is actually, I would call a national importance project because we in Lithuania do not have a stadium that could fit UEFA requirements and could host international tournaments. So we, as a city of sports, which we indicate ourselves as, it is very important that we have a stadium that would support the growth of professional sports, not only football, but also athletics and other types of professional sports activities. So the stadium will host 15,000 seats or up to 40,000 visitors when it's done. And it will still keep the natural connection to its surroundings, which one is the Oak Park of Žolynas, which is the biggest park in Kaunas. And it's a very important area of the city, historically and mentally, to every Kaunas citizen, filled with hundreds of years of old oaks and protected by Natura 2000. This natural area is very important to the citizens. That's why we are renewing the park, but still keeping all the oaks, just emphasizing their natural beauty and creating leisure infrastructure that would be used for citizens as well as sportsmen. Also, next to the stadium, we are renovating another historical building, Kaunas Sports Hall, which is renovated under, renovation is funded under a EU program. And we expect to expand the use of this historical building, not only for sports, but also for non-formal education, community engagement, events, fairs, and so on. So this year we will launch a public-private partnership contest to select the operator of the stadium and of this sports hall. Also, this project group includes a construction of new athletics center that would be done by 2024, and the reconstruction of the area surrounding the stadium, the athletics center, the sports hall, and connecting all together. So in total, this group of projects would cost around 60 million euros, and around 15 million euros would be funded by EU. Next group of projects that I would like to mention is a place that used to be a city landfill up till 1980s, and now is being turned into most attractive and open green area. This is Nemunans Island, which you may know from the sports arena that we have in one side of this island, and the other side for a very long time was basically not used. It was just natural recreational, let's say, area. And in a very short time, this area will be developed. A park infrastructure will be created, establishing sports areas for visitors. And also few new constructions are taking place at the moment. So one of which is a new pedestrian bridge that will allow visitors easily enter Nemunas Island from the side of Old Town. The bridge is under construction and will be done mid this year. Second project, which is also undergoing, is a new swimming pool, which is also very important because in Kaunas we do not have a swimming pool that fits international criteria for professional sportsmanship. So this swimming pool will be connected to the Žalgiris arena. It will have 50-meter tracks, 10 50-meter tracks that would fit the requirements and would allow Kaunas to host large-scale international swimming tournament. And the third project that will be implemented in the Nemunas Island is called Science Island, which is the first science museum in Lithuania. This, when we're talking about science museums, this is not high-tech science. This is a science for children, because for us it's very important to engage citizens to learning from very young age. So the target group of this project is children from 7 to 14 years old, also families, school groups, and teachers. And the Science Center will host permanent science exhibition based on Sustainable Development Goals, which is a unique topic that other science museums in Europe do not have, and we very much hope to present this topic for children from a very young age. Also, we will have a virtual projection space, temporary exhibitions, and STEM labs. So over 11,000 square meters building will be built and customed for young visitors and attract formal, non-formal, informal education to this area and become the heart of science promotion. All buildings that are being built in Nemunas Island, as you can see, we wanted to have this natural park landscape. So we gave the priority to, let's say, hidden buildings, and all rooftops of those projects are covered in grass. So when you enter the island, you only see a very beautiful green area with professional architecture embedded into the natural landscape of this island. So in total, the projects in Nemunas Island will cost around 65 million euros, and 24 million of those will be funded by EU. And the third project that I would like to present, the third group of projects that is also very important for the development of Kaunas city, is the establishment of Aleksotas Innovation Industry Park. This is a 30-hectare area in a very close proximity to city center and to universities, which for a very long time was not used and undeveloped because this was a military area. And only recently the city gained rights to use this land. And we want to have a modern R&D oriented area where companies could be established. So since this area was had no infrastructure, and we know that it's kind of difficult to attract investors to a playing field due to the investment requirement, legal procedures, and the time it takes to create the underground system. So we have installed all the underground infrastructure and all the street infrastructure necessary for establishment of this park. Also, so the infrastructure is finished and will be ready to use by mid this year. And also to have like a starting point where the companies can take their first step. We are renovating a former aviation helicopter hangar, a building where helicopters used to be constructed, into a flex start building where companies can enter, establish their base while constructing their own facilities in the center, or if they fit into the building and fit the requirements of this building, then they could work in here. It is very important that this project actually has the status of national importance, which means the ownership of this initiative belongs to Ministry of Economy and Innovation, Ministry of Economy and Innovation, and we are working together with Invest Lithuania and the ministry to prepare the development plan for this building, for this area, to set KPIs and systems that would help attract the investors to this area. So this area is dedicated to R&D companies, which means because it's in the city center, we cannot have any pollution in this area. And we are looking for companies that fit the city and the country smart specialization plan and would work on developing innovative, well-paid working places. And the fourth project that I would like to present, which is also very important to the city, is Sustainable Urban Mobility Plan in Kaunas. A bit more than a year ago, we have prepared Kaunas City Sustainable Urban Mobility Plan. We have indicated the modal split of Kaunas City inhabitants' moving habits. And we see that Kaunas, more than other cities in Lithuania and more than EU average, choose to move by car and less by using other means like walking or cycling. As the city is growing and more people tend to move from village side to the cities, and the cities are growing, so the traffic and the pollution coming from traffic is becoming more of a problem. So moving to more green Europe, we have to look for better solutions for mobility in the city. And what we say is, if you build a city for cars, you have cars. And if you build a city for people, you have people in it. So the aim is to build a city that is comfortable to live in. So we, according to the urban mobility plan, we are working on implementing measures that would provide a reasonable way to move in the city without using your car. So we are investing in better public transport. For example, we have changed all Kaunas city buses and trolley buses recently to new, more sustainable ones. Also, we are working on implementing IT tools for a more sustainable city, like limiting car entrance into the city center, or using IT tools for better parking systems. Also, one more important initiative of the Sustainable Urban Mobility Plan is creating local centers, or as we call it, creating walkable city, which is very much possible, we showed to be very much possible in the pandemic situation. So what we aim to do is during the analysis, we noticed that a lot of people say they do not use bicycles, public transport, or walking, is because of lack of infrastructure. We do not have enough cycling routes or walking routes. It's old, in poor condition, and so on. So what we want to do, surely we cannot ensure that people go to their work or university or school, which is far away from their home, without using cars. But what we definitely can do is we can ensure that everyday services such as post office, sports gym, grocery shopping, or stuff like that can happen in close proximity from your home if you live in densely populated areas. So we aim to renovate and create new walking paths, cycling paths around that kind of densely populated areas, so that we would reduce the amount of car trips that you have to take daily. So better accessibility, lower CO2 emission, and road safety, that would increase people's choice of using less cars is the priority for our sustainable urban mobility plan. And we aim to implement it by 2030. And last year, there was this Sustainable Urban Mobility Plan Award nomination, which we applied for, and we turned to be one of 3 nominees. We didn't win the award, but we turned to be one of 3 nominees in Europe. And we were honorably mentioned due to the ambition that we have in this plan. So I really hope that we succeed in implementing those tools and turning Kaunas city into more green, sustainable city. So that's it from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Aiste. We hope so too, that this plan will be fulfilled and exceeded. Now, I would like now, because we don't have much time, just a very quickly to open up for a discussion. Aiste, could you stop sharing your screen? Okay, thank you.
Yes.
So I don't have, we have about 5 minutes till another presentation, 6 minutes. So my question, I listened to all these presentations, very interesting presentations. And, you know, we talked about children, we talked about women, we talked about sort of community involvement. And part of the question that I want you to react quickly, I was wondering, you know, especially when we talk about carbon neutral city and its development, business is a big part of it, right? We talked about Saab, obviously, in the case case of Linköping. Where do you see here the sort of business involvement, business role, and how is it reacting to these new initiatives? You know, we heard that at least in some cases there is some skepticism expressed because of very ambitious goals. So I wanted you to react, to give you a space to react to this question, and just quickly then wrap up before and then move to panel discussion. So any takers? Anybody wants to comment on the business side of this carbon neutral city strategy?
Lars Viking here. There are definitely commercial aspects of this. There are companies in Linköping, but also elsewhere, who really take benefit from this and gain from it, and develop ideas and products that's coming out. And our giant in this field is really our electricity unit, also Tekniska Verken, who are also producing heat and taking care of our garbage and so on. That's the same concept that Bo Frank was describing from Växjö. They are burning garbage and so on. We had a question at the city council 2 weeks ago, how much this has cost the municipality to make this transition. This was from the Sweden Democrats. And the short answer to that question is that so far, this transition has costed nothing to the municipality. On the opposite, on the contrary, the investments that have been made, and that has also led to new technologies, has actually gained the citizens, not only in terms of better environment and lower emissions of carbon dioxide, but it has also given the inhabitants more money, to be very, very concrete and brutal about it. So it's definitely a big side, and Tekniska Verken is a big exporter of technology as well. But there are also a lot of small startups at the university, and they're connected in the Linköping Science Park, that are gaining from this, developing different products. So it's big business, actually.
Thank you, Lars. I can see that Bo wants to react. Please go ahead.
Well, thank you. Another comment on this. Our statistic shows that our local GDP in Växjö has been higher than average in Sweden, although we have cut our emissions more than average. So I think for me, it's economy and ecology are two sides of the same coin. Two sides of the same coin. It goes hand in hand.
Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else wants to react and to comment quickly about the business involvement? Maybe Tampere. It sounds like it's a big project, but I'm not.
I could say something. Niklas here from Linköping.
Oh yes.
When young people are looking for a job, I think that's a huge question that they see that companies take responsibility. So I think they need to get on with the global goals and work with it to show young people that they are take care about the future for them.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much. So I think, thank you for your quick reactions. It's almost time for our last stage, stage in this forum, and that is our panel discussion. And for this discussion, we have, let me see, 6 participants and about 25 minutes. So it will be as dynamic, I think, as those presentations that we heard, if not more dynamic, but that's good. So let me introduce the participants, and then we'll move on with the discussion. We have Her Excellency Ambassador of Finland, Arja Makkonen, also Her Excellency Ambassador of Sweden, Inger Buxton, also Deputy Head Mission, Embassy of Denmark, Jakob Greve Kroman. Now, the Lithuanian side is Honorary Consul of Norway in Kaunas, Vytautas Valaitis, Deputy Mayor of Kaunas City, Mantas Jurgutis, and another Deputy Mayor of Kaunas City, Andrius Palionis. So now, welcome everyone. I hope you can hear me, and I hope you are with us. I'm just looking through the screen, and I think I see you all. So in the order I mentioned, we can sort of maybe open up the discussion. And my question is, so far we talked a lot about different sort of successful projects, that are there, that you want to showcase regarding sustainable cities, regarding the carbon dioxide neutral city goal. My question to you relates to challenges. What are the challenges here when we think about sustainable city and or cities? And they obviously are at city level, but also at a national level. So I would like you to comment, on the challenges that you see in your own context, trying to achieve these goals, or this sort of macro goal. So maybe Ambassador of Finland could comment on this, start commenting, and then we can go to Sweden, Denmark, Honorary Consul of Norway, and so on. So please go ahead.
Thank you. And hello, Kaunas. Hello, Växjö. Did I pronounce it correctly? Linköping, Rovaniemi, Tampere, so many cities already. And thank you for the presentations, very interesting. Of course, when we are heading, for example, in Finland, Finland has committed to climate neutrality in 2035. I think it will be very, very demanding job. So it requires a lot of things on the political level, of course, strategies, roadmaps, follow-up to see how it proceeds, but also, of course, a lot of work from cities, regions, and of course, us citizens as well. What I see, of course, very important, perhaps sometimes also challenging, is that how do you make citizens to participate enough? In Finland, it's not really a problem because we have, I think, something like 70,000 NGOs, for example, for every cause. So it's not a problem, but I think in some countries it might be a problem to get citizens activated to promote these goals. I think funding shouldn't be that kind of a problem because, as we know, there is going to be quite a lot of help from the European Union. There are national funds to be used for sustainability causes, so I think that is not really a problem. But how to get people to work together? And I think it needs a lot of international cooperation, but also cities and regions have to cooperate. So I think this is very important to have this link. And of course, business, I almost forgot, but that is extremely important to have the business and companies involved, startups, students as well.
Okay. Thank you very much. Now, Ambassador of Sweden maybe wants to react and continue.
Yes, thank you so much, and very nice to see everybody and have the ability to have this dialogue. And I must say, it's so impressive listening to our colleagues, our mayors and representatives from the different towns in Sweden and Finland and Lithuania, showing the very concrete steps that can be taken. I think sometimes when you work at the national and international level, you are a bit far removed from realities. And I think cities are such a good example of how you can work actively to achieve the 2030 agenda. And I think also, Arja just pointed out that Finland has set the goal for to be fossil-free by 2035. I think Sweden was the first country to announce that it wanted to be fossil-free welfare state by 2045. So I think it's great to see that it's actually a race on to the bottom, that it's not going to be impossible if we are really putting our minds to the importance of making this transition. We know that we also now, we have 1 decade to achieve the 2030 agenda, and we also have very short time to achieve the Paris Agreement. So we really have to make sure that we work with different instruments. The Swedish government and Sweden very early on actually introduced, for example, carbon taxes. Already in 1991, we had the first fuel tax in Sweden. So I think it's important that governments work both with economic steering instruments, such as tax policies, but of course also different types of incentives. And I think we can see around us that, there are different instruments both to force companies and others to phase out their fossil fuel at the same time as you encourage, for example, to invest in fossil-free cars, increase the use of bikes and other means of transport. But at the same time, there are many challenges. But I think also one very important point that has been raised in these examples that we've heard is the fact that it's about cooperation and collaboration. You need state actors to work with non-state actors, and you need the business sector. And one very concrete example that we have in Sweden it's the fossil-free initiative that was taken by the government 2015, which was to say that asking different sectors to actually come together, both business companies together with municipalities, regions, and so on, to work to achieve the 2045 fossil-free goal. And so you have the concrete industry, the cement industry, the steel industry, the construction and civil engineering industries coming together and setting their own roadmap for how they're going to achieve these goals. And then also requiring to the government, coming back to the government saying, look, we are not going to be able to do this unless you introduce this and that policies. And it has been actually quite revolutionary to see how you have heavy industry like the steel industry in Sweden now setting themselves to use, to really phase out their fossil fuel use in the coming 20 years. And it's very ambitious. So they're going over to hybrid solutions and gradually phasing out fossil fuel. And I think here you can really see the business opportunities for companies that by making this transformation, which is challenging, they can also become leading in their different sectors in terms of being competitive on the world market. So I think there are strong incentives actually for companies to make this transition early, because then you can actually be at the forefront in 20 or 30 years' time. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Now, moving on to Denmark, could we hear some Danish perspective on this sort of challenges regarding 2030 agenda? Please, Jakob, I hope you can hear us. And
yes, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Wonderful.
Thank
Please,
you.
Go ahead.
Indeed, and thank you for giving the floor to me. I'm also very pleased to be here on behalf of the ambassador, who unfortunately could not join us. But I will give a few Danish perspectives on this. Of course, also first starting off by saying that the Danish government is also very ambitious in the green area, with the reduction target on 70% in 2030. So it's very much top of the agenda. But if we talk about the challenges that you asked about, I think one of the challenges could be also, as Aya mentioned, to gain broad support for the green agenda. This has not been, at least in the recent years, been a very big challenge in Danish politics. The Danish society, as almost all Danish parties support the 70% reduction target in 2030. But a way this has been done has also been by not just focusing on what the authorities will do or what the political level want to do, but also, as Inger said, include the companies, include businesses, include universities, civil society organizations, and the citizens also in the strategies. This is, for example, something that has been very successful in Copenhagen, that aims to be the first fully climate neutral capital in the world in 2025. So by including several groups and take a whole of society approach, I think you can come a long way when it comes to gaining support for the green agenda. And also, as Inger also mentioned, realizing that green solutions is something that you can earn money on. Green solutions, sustainable solutions are big business, and you can export them to the whole world. And this is what also something that we have realized in Denmark. Another challenge maybe worth mentioning could be the ability to keep focus on the green agenda, because there are so many agendas, so many topics that require attention, but the climate agenda and the fight against climate change will not go away just because we have other things like COVID-19 or whatever it could be to think about. So it's very important to keep having focus on the green agenda and the sustainability agenda. And I think that the Danish Parliament recently showed that this is actually possible, because just a week or two ago, the Danish government made a new agreement with several other parties that Denmark is to make reductions on 54% already in 2025. So even though we have COVID-19, even though we have much to think about, it is still possible to be ambitious on the green agenda. And I think that's also an important point to make.
Thank you, Jakob. Thank you for your thoughts. Now we are moving to Norway in Kaunas, and Honorary Consul of Norway in Kaunas, Vytautas Valaitis. Vytautai, please proceed.
Thank you. Well, I had an honorable mission to represent Norway as our ambassador was not able to take part in this panel discussion. But on the other hand, I can say that I was working with Vestfold County in Norway for about nearly 30 years. So it's also a pity that we didn't have any presenter from Vestfold Telemark County, which have merged now after the latest reform in Norway, regional reform. And probably that was also the reason why these links are slightly disturbed now. But I would like to tell about one very new project, which is indeed in Vestfold and Telemark County, and with the funding from the Norwegian state, from the industries and from the EU money. You know, today we were talking a lot about how different cities can contribute to reduction of CO2 emissions. But there are fields of industries and so on where it's impossible to avoid it. And even if we can reduce like consumption of different products and we can reduce the number of garbage which we have to burn afterwards, it still produces CO2. And one of the industry which is actually has absolutely no chance to avoid CO2 is cement production, which also we have a big cement factory in Lithuania here in Akmenė. And one of the big cement factories is indeed in Telemark County, or Vestfold Telemark County now, in Brevik. And they are piloting the new project, which is called Langskip, like an old name for a Viking ship. So the idea is that, you know, when you are producing cement, you are cracking the limestone, and in the process, you are releasing CO2. And the factory producing 1.2 million tons of cement for all the road building, construction industry, and so on, and was trying to increase it anyway. They had to pay huge taxes in the CO2 tax, because in Norway, CO2 tax was also introduced in 1990. So they were joining the initiative, and actually as late as September 2020, Norwegian Parliament passed a white paper encouraging such projects. Funding from the government side was approved in December, and the project is already started with industry, with the government, and with some EU funding, actually to not only reduce the CO2, but in fact catch the CO2 and store it safely in underground. So the whole project will be that, you know, this cement factory, all the emissions from the chimneys which were going out directly into atmosphere, now will be collected into the special processing plant, which will separate from pure CO2 from all the fumes which are exhaled from this factory, and liquefy them, loaded on ships, and by ship it will be transported to the receiving terminal in the west coast of Norway in Kaunas, and then by pipeline transferred to the oil field and buried underneath of the seabed and in the rock, in the bedrock, safely, you know, stored there. So in fact, we are not only reducing the CO2 footprint and reducing consumption of CO2 or emission of CO2, but we are capturing and storing, and that would be also possible for other industries to join. So now the next step will be Oslo heat plant, Fortum Oslo heat plant. They will catch also their CO2 and transport to the same place, and also bury it underneath the seabed. And the project this Norcem is a part of big Hadel Group cement production companies, and they have factories in Gotland. So from Gotland, there will be in future the same thing from Germany and Belgium, so from different other places. And for this Vestfold and Telemark county project for North in Brevik, this alone will reduce the CO2 emissions by 400,000 tons a year, which is equivalent to 180,000 cars emission per year. So like they will take away by this 180,000 cars from traffic, so to say, as a CO2. And it will be only a reduction of 50%. And why 50%? Technology allows to reduce it even further, but then that becomes too expensive. So this balance is between the tax, which is expensive to pay, and the cost of catching and storing it, which, but still the reduction of 50% is very much substantial. So I hope that this will be kind of also another way to go, because not always we can really reduce things and consumption. Sometimes we even have to kind of do some proactive steps to catch and store it underneath the ground. So,
thank you very much. Yes, that's a different approach in this case. Now moving to Kaunas city, and in Lithuania, however we measure, we probably have the sort of discourse of sustainability and carbon neutral cities is a more recent one for both for our management and I think for our societies as well. So it's interesting, how these challenges, what kind of challenges are encountered by, here locally by city officials. So Mantas Jurgutis, Deputy Mayor of Kaunas City, please.
Hello, everyone. First of all, let me thank you all, embassies, ambassadors, INUS, all the partners, Nordic Council of Ministers, Lithuania, Helen, everybody who participate here. And for us, we say in our team of Kaunas that sustainability must be sustainable. And such actions as we do today ensures the sustainability of the sustainability. So according to Kaunas case, I would like to emphasize few things. Big powers, European Union or other big powers of the world can agree in Paris or anywhere else in the world, but the delivery is in the local level. And we are the ones here who need to find solutions how from the papers, from the declarations to deliver it to the examples we saw today. So beneficial, it's very important to have this cooperation as we have with Vekšė, Linköping, Tampere, to ensure exchange of this new future we have. Because probably all of us will agree that being green after 10 years in our region will be not a surprise. It will be everyday life. Our region in general, I speak about all Baltic region, is really sustainable, I think, and we have to share this to other parts of the continent. So, of course, we have different situations probably in Scandinavian countries, in the Baltic coast from east side, but probably our challenge most is the community. We must ensure the community education on the sustainability. What is it? How is it measured? What is sustainable development? Not stagnation, So we are solving this community education challenges, and I think in nearest future, this is one of the priorities. Another thing is the public governance. Probably all of us in the team, we do agree that it's not the easiest thing, or it is a challenge to deliver in every step you make a sustainability aspect. That every decision you make in municipality should be sustainable, and sustainability or being green, it's very integral policy. It's not horizontal and it's vertical. So it takes time to make your employees believe in everyday their decisions that the sustainability should be integral. And not taking long. You know, for us as Kaunas city is not hard to be green, because 2/3 of all Kaunas territory is a green territory. So we are very green, and even our basketball team is green. For us, a challenge is to keep being green, to win in the basketball court, and to keep 2/3 being green, to ensure the sustainable urban development, not just a development which you really saw we can do, we know how to construct, but now we are learning from our partners and from all of you how to do the sustainable urban development. So we thank you very much for and send big green greetings from Green City.
Thank you very much. So now also maybe another deputy mayor, Andrius Palionis, maybe wants to add a few things, because our discussion is already kind of going towards the end. It's not much of a discussion, I'm sorry for that, but we don't have enough time to really even, you know, state these positions. So please, Andrew, could you do you have anything to add, to contribute to this discussion further?
Yes, so very shortly, because all speakers made very good points. And when we talk about green policy, I think in a political level we can make agreements very quickly, but after that we must change people's mind and people's habits. So it takes time and a lot. So I think what we talk today, the most important thing is to change people's mind and habits, and we will have our green policy implemented. So that's it.
Okay, thank you. I'll take a liberty to take a few more minutes. Maybe once somebody wants to react. The question for me is the final one, kind of wrap-up thing. How has the COVID pandemic impacted this sort of goal? In what way? You know, anybody, now I open to anybody wants to, you can raise your hand or just quickly say how you see this. I see Ambassador from Finland, you know, raising her hand. So please go ahead. Those others, please also mute yourself. So go for it, please. Ambassador Inger Buxton, I saw you.
Yes, sorry. I thought you said Finnish, Ambassador. I'm the Swedish one. So
sorry.
That's okay. Swedish. Don't worry. Just to say two things, really. I do think that the pandemic, in a way, I think, has shown. I mean, I think we are aware that we are facing two crises. The one being the climate crisis, and the other being the pandemic. And I think the pandemic, in a way, has also in a way forced people to stop and think that we cannot continue to do business as usual. And I think there is a realization that we are needing to build back better and greener. So I think that is very strong. And I think one thing, though, that's very important, and I'm very glad that we had Tove Julin participating from her city toolbox, because she talks a lot about the social dimensions. Because when we talk about this transition, green transition, business opportunities, we must not forget the social dimension, the fact that there is a risk that people are marginalized, and that the pandemic has shown very clearly, and that we must work to leave no one behind, which is, of course, also a very important motto of the 2030 agenda. So I think to remember the social dimension when we make this transition. And just another point is that We know that COVID is caused by the close vicinity of animals and humans. And as we are facing the climate change, we are also facing huge biodiversity loss. And this link between health, biodiversity and climate, they're closely interlinked. So if we're going to be able to deal with these different crises, we need to see them connected and need to address them jointly. And I think that's the big challenge that we really have to realize and have to work towards.
Thank you very much to the Swedish ambassador. Because I made the mistake, I have to give a chance now to the Finnish ambassador if she wants to respond, to react to this question.
I can just echo Inger, but it is true that, of course, economic and these humanitarian issues have shifted a little bit attention from away from climate change at the moment. So COVID is, of course, the number one thing at the moment. But at the same time, we have to remember that the growing temperatures will affect our environment. And for example, like mosquitoes, they grow rapidly, and all these diseases, they are going to spread. So at the same time, we have to keep in mind that we have to pay attention to climate change and do our utmost to use renewables and all these means what we can do, especially in cities, because of the emissions, I think over 70% come from cities. So to try to do our best in the cities, in the regions, nationally, but also as citizens. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else? A very quick comment, just to give you a chance that we don't just prefer Sweden and Finland.
I can add
yes,
a small quick point, because I think you can say about the COVID-19 crisis that it has really shown us that there is no way around making a true green transition of society. I mean, we clearly cannot just turn down our activity or energy consumption, because if anything, during this last year, we have turned down our social interaction and economic activity. And actually, the CO2 emissions have not dropped that significantly as one might have expected. So it has just proven to us that there is no way around making a true green transition and invest in sustainable solutions.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. You know, what I took from this conference is the emphasis that, you know, I'll take away now trying to wrap up, is the emphasis on cooperation, sort of various levels cooperation, both, you know, city level, at a city level, sort of horizontal with the community, also vertical cooperation, but also among cities. And you know, I think this these Scandinavian days in Kaunas 2021 is just an example of this possibility of talking to each other, learning from each other, and really growing together and trying to meet this challenge that we all have, both, you know, as citizens of our country, as citizens of our cities, and as global citizens. So thank you very much for your participation, for your input, and we hope to see you soon in Kaunas or in your cities at some point in the future. Thank you very much and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you very much. Perhaps next week in Kaunas.
Thank you very much.